real. But shout out to the Democrats that did stand up to release the Epstein files. Shout out and to the Republicans as well. But let's be real, not all Republicans and not all Democrats put their hand in there.
We turn now to House Democratic Leader Hakeem Jeffries, who joins us this morning from New York City. Leader Jeffries, thank you for being here.
Good morning. Great to be with you.
So as this shutdown continues, I want to remind our viewers what it is exactly congressional Democrats are seeking to reopen the Department of Homeland Security. You want immigration agents to show IDs, to wear body cameras, take off their masks, stop racial profiling, and seek judicial warrants to enter private property. Talks between the White House and congressional Democrats are continuing. Are you willing to compromise, to let any of these go to get the government reopened?
Well, our value proposition is simple. Taxpayer dollars should be used to make life more affordable for the American people, not brutalize or kill them, as we horrifically saw in Minneapolis with the cold-blooded killings of Renee Nicole Good and Alex Preddy.
Cold-blooded killings. Like, really, that's the language you want to use. Cold-blooded, as if they just took them out the car and executed them. As this Alex Preddy having a gun on him didn't have anything to do with him getting shot. If he didn't have that gun on him, he wouldn't have got shot. Oh, actually, you know what? It's not even about the gun because you got Second Amendment rights. It's about the fact that he didn't let a law enforcement officer know that he had a gun on this person, and he walked up to a law enforcement officer, putting his hands on him, trying to get him to stop to going towards that lady. If he wanted to go help the lady, he'd have went over there to go pick her up out of the snow. No, instead he went right in front of the law enforcement officer, putting his hands on him, which is basically, I mean, not only obstruction, but can be seen as insulting an officer. And if you don't believe that, remember, there was a January 6th guy that bumped into an officer, and you guys called that assault, and you were okay, and you cheered for that man to be in jail. So let's keep that consistency with Alex Preddy. And that's what got him unalive. Renee Good, being in the middle of the street, obstructing ICE officers. They warned her, if you don't get out, you will be arrested. I mean, they told her to get out the car. She said no. They put their hand in the car. She decided to move her car, put an ICE officer right in the line, right in front of the car, and decided to drive. Even though she was turning away from the perception of the ICE officer, he thought that car was coming to him, and he pulled out and shot her. I'll be real with you, that is a lawful shot.
We know, and the American people clearly know, that ICE is totally out of control, and they need to be reined in.
So cold-blooded murder? No, that's bro. I'm be real with you. That's such a dishonest way of putting it.
Because the American people deserve immigration enforcement that is fair, that is just, and that is humane. And so we need dramatic change at ICE, including but not limited to the types of things that you laid out before any DHS funding bill moves forward.
With the exception of some flexibility on body cameras, because they're starting to spend some money to get those out there, some Republicans have rejected this list of policy reform proposals. You guys still seem miles apart. So when conceivably will we see this resolved? And again, I ask you, are there any of these points that you're willing to let go in order to get the government reopened?
Well, we're willing to have a good faith conversation about everything, but fundamentally, we need change that is dramatic, that is bold, that is meaningful, and that is transformational. And these are common sense things. For instance, judicial warrants should be required before ICE agents can store.
I mean, yeah, and that'll be an argument most likely left to the Supreme Court. Because like I said, he's not telling you the real about these administrative warrants and how they're attached to a judge order for a final removal. He's not telling you that. Now, like I said, we can sit there and have the debate if that's a qualifying warrant to go ahead and kick in people's doors over. But let's not sit there. But when they sit there and say, oh, they're going on there with no warrant, that's a lie. And then when they want to admit that it's an administrative warrant only, they don't want to sit there and be like, yeah, but it is attached to a final order of removal. So it's either going to straight up lie to you or just not give you all the details when it comes to this situation right here.
On private property or rip everyday Americans out of their homes. We need to make sure that there are actual independent investigations so that if state and local laws are violated, in many cases violently violated, that state and local authorities have the ability to criminally investigate and criminally prosecute anyone who has violated the law, because we cannot trust Kristi Noem or Pam Bondi to conduct an independent investigation. We believe that sensitive locations.
Yeah, then who do we trust? That's the problem, because since this was a federal agent, it's going to be left to be investigated by the feds, and that's just how it's done. It's been that way forever. So you're pretty much mad about, well, the order of the how this goes when it comes to police shootings. You're upset about that, because that's always how it's been, guys. Like it or not, when a police shooting happens, what happens? It's usually what, an internal investigation done by who? The police department. They got their own little thing for that. So when this happens and is being investigated by the feds, it's the same thing. Now, if you guys want to sit there and get mad at that, sure, but it's not really a valid reason to sit there and not trust the results of the investigation. Be honest with you, because it's always been done like this. And if you feel like this is a corrupt way of doing things, well, I somewhat agree with you, actually.
Should be off limits. Sensitive locations like houses of worship, schools, hospitals, or polling sites, and that fundamentally ICE should be targeting violent felons who are here unlawfully, as opposed.
No, Hakeem. ICE is going to be targeting people who are here unlawfully, undocumented immigrants, and those who commit violent crime. Like, I don't know why these Democrats think that they can just pick and choose. Like, oh, we only want to get rid of the criminals. Bro, we want to get rid of all of them. All of them needs to go, because they are a strain on our resources. They are a strain on the American economy. Like it or not, that's just a fact of the matter. And I love how Liz will sit there and say, well, immigrants put it into the economy. Legal ones do, you dumbass, not the undocumented.
To violently targeting law-abiding immigrant families, which is completely inconsistent with what Donald Trump promised the American people he would do.
Right. And we, of course, this past week reported that about 14% of those detained had violent criminal records. About 60% of them were wanted on criminal records overall, but it was that 14% violent criminals. It sounds like this is going to go on a while, because Tom Homan wasn't terribly flexible on anything, especially on the issue of warrants and masks. You're not ceding any ground. So there's a few things coming up here. For example, State of the Union is scheduled for a week from Tuesday. Should it be held if the Department of Homeland Security is shut down?
Well, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. It's certainly my hope
Sounds
that we
like
get some
resolution
in advance of it. Well, here's the thing. The administration and Republicans have made a clear decision that they would rather shut down.
No. Whoa. Bro, you made a clear decision that you guys, because you can't touch ICE, you'd rather shut down the entire DHS department. Just like you guys during the last shutdown said that, yo, we will let Americans go without food stamps because we want the ASA subsidies that y'all didn't get anyway. And you still ain't got. So please don't, y'all, bro, Dems, how do y'all believe this? No, actually, guys, I went ahead and posted the call-in link for all naysayers. So go to my page and go to my homepage, go to the post tab, and you'll see the StreamYard link. You know what? I'll even post it in the chat for anybody who disagrees with pretty much what I'm about to say right now. No, and let's get back to, and let me make sure I got it right from Hakeem Jeffries.
Like you're going to get to it, though.
In advance of it. Well, here's the thing. The administration and Republicans have made a clear decision.
So how could the administration and Republicans make a clear decision when they're the ones that want DHS to stay open? They already got their funding. They're good. It's the Democrats who are upset with ICE, who wants to shut down DHS because of ICE. One, how is that fair? And two, how can you blame the Republicans when they're the ones voting no for the funding? Please come up there and explain this to me, because I bet you won't.
That they would rather shut down FEMA, shut down the Coast Guard, and shut down TSA than enact the type of dramatic reforms necessary so that ICE and other DHS law enforcement agencies are conducting themselves like every other law enforcement professional in the country. For instance, police officers don't use masks. County sheriffs don't use masks.
Yeah, because you're not calling them Gestapo, you're not calling them terrorists, and you're not telling your constituents that, oh, they're just gonna take you away to a torture dungeon. If you still saying that about local law enforcement and sheriffs, then yeah, you probably getting the same reaction that Renee Good had to those police officers running away because she probably thought that she was gonna be taken away to a foreign torture dungeon. So yeah, that's on you.
Troopers don't use masks. Why is it that ICE agents who are untrained are being unleashed on American communities?
And then, bro, they can't even prove that they're untrained. They are trained. They do have a training that they go through. Most of these guys are ex-law enforcement and veterans, and maybe the other ones are ex-security, which if you want to call them untrained, I guess. But most of these guys, ex-law enforcement. So no, you guys can kill the untrained part.
With this type of lawlessness, violence, and brutality, unacceptable, unconscionable, and it's un-American.
Yeah, and we went over this with Tom Homan a little earlier. Of course, they point out that assaults against ICE officers have gone up over 13.
And like I said, guys, I'll go ahead and I'll be nice enough to walk you through it. You can go to my page, this post tab right here, and you'll go ahead and you'll see the StreamYard link that was posted 5 minutes ago. And like I said, if you disagree with what I'm saying, please come up here and make it make sense, because I promise you can't.
100% this past year, from about 275 compared to 19 the year before. So there are some legitimate concerns about those agents being targeted. But your broader point about whether or not law enforcement should behave the same as other law enforcement is heard.
Yes, and we're going to continue, of course, to encourage the American people to exercise their constitutional rights, their freedom of assembly, and their freedom of speech, and their freedom of expression peacefully, as we saw overwhelmingly done in Minneapolis.
All right, well, we'll stay tuned on the shutdown and the negotiations. And let me ask you a few other things while we have you. First of all, you're a member of the Gang of Eight who gets briefed on national security matters. The Pentagon is reportedly planning for the possibility of sustained weeks-long operations against Iran if diplomacy fails and the president opts to attack. What do you know about those plans, or what would you want to learn as a member of the Gang of Eight?
Well, the administration, as has been the case since the very beginning of this presidency, has been slow to provide information both to the Gang of Eight members of Congress, the legislative leadership, and the top Democrats and Republicans on the Intel Committee, and certainly hasn't provided a significant amount of information to Congress in general. These people within the administration, the extremists, they don't seem to believe that Congress is a separate and co-equal branch of government. We are. In fact,
no, bro, I'm gonna be real with you. There's been a lot of congressmen that's been talking about the plans for Iran, especially the Republicans and even the Democrats. So no, you just didn't read it. You just don't care, Hakeem. You just don't care. You don't care what's going on in Iran. Just like you didn't care what was going on with the Palestinians in Gaza. It's like, let's be real, you don't care. And that's fine. But don't act like you do.
Power to declare war is exclusively given,
like, dog, if Lindsey Graham got the plans, then you should have got it too.
To Congress in Article 1 of the United States Constitution. Now, the American people want Donald Trump and Republicans to actually keep their promise and focus on driving down the high cost of living and fixing our broken healthcare system. There was Donald Trump who promised, in fact, that costs would go down on day one. Costs haven't gone down. We're in the midst of an affordability crisis that hasn't been resolved. Perhaps the president should focus on making life better for the American people.
And maybe you should tell the Democratic politicians that when they get in office, could you not make things more expensive? Like, can you not raise taxes? Can you not add unnecessary costs to the American people? That'd be nice.
Period. Full stop.
I hear you on that. I want to remind our viewers of the current TikTok tight margins in the House. You've got to net at least 3 seats to take the majority at this point. I want to play for you part of what you had to say about the 2026 elections when you were asked this point. I want to play for you part of what you had to say about the 2026 elections when you were asked this past Thursday. Take a listen.
We only need to net 3. It's happening. Democrats are going to take back control of the House. And the only question is, what's the margin?
Right now, the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee considers 44 of the 435 seats in the House in play, including, you just added 5 new ones this past week: South Central Virginia, District in South Carolina, Southern Minnesota, Central Colorado, and the at-large seat in Montana. Parts of the country where Democrats don't normally win elections, we should point out. So if the election were held today, at minimum, how many seats do you see Democrats winning?
Well, if the election were held today, we're taking back control of the House of Representatives, and I'm not convinced that it would necessarily be close. But these are battles that are going to be...
I mean, y'all said the same thing about Kamala, but y'all see how that worked out for y'all.
Waged district by district by district. We know we're winning seats now in deep red territory. We saw that in Miami in December, where we won the mayor's race for the first time in 30 years by 20 points. And then in January, of course, we flipped a seat in the Texas State Senate that Donald Trump had just...
Well, hold on now. That's because they split the ballot with the Republicans. There's actually more Republicans who voted than Democrats. And if they didn't split the ballot between the 2 Republicans, the Republicans would have won that. And guess what? That guy, well, and we'll see come November, because when comes November, that guy who won Texas got to go for re-election. And guess what? He'll only be going against one Republican candidate. So we'll see if the same thing plays out like last time. That Republican candidate will be taking back that seat.
Just won by 17 points. The Democratic candidate won it by
Or the
14. That
Republican.
was a 31-point overperformance. And then just last weekend in Louisiana, we flipped the House seat that Trump had won by 14. We won that, or 13.
So
we
you've got
won that by 24 points. That was a 37-point overperformance. My point is, we're winning across the country in blue states and purple states and red states, because the American people know we're the only ones focused on driving down the high cost of living, fixing our
No. If anything, they probably just don't like the whole no new war thing. And I'm be honest with you, like maybe the ICE thing is what got them going. I'm be real with you. Actually, I think that the Democratic base is now, honestly, they're doubling down. More people are coming out to vote Democrat because of the rhetoric of the Democrat Party. And that's smart. That's actually a brilliant strategy, because it kind of showed in Virginia that more Democrats came out to vote for Abigail Spanberger than Kamala Harris. So it actually shows the doubling down of the Democrat Party. It's not like they're getting Republicans to go Democrat. No, they're just doubling it down. And let me also give some credit to the Democrats for the independents who promises weren't fulfilled by Trump. They're also probably swinging in that direction as well.
broken healthcare system and making sure that immigration enforcement is fair and just.
You've got to get at least
AKA no immigration enforcement.
20 to 25 seats, all 44 seats. What do you think right now?
Don't get too cocky now.
Give me a number.
Well, I'm not in the prediction business. I'm in the let's win on behalf of the American people so we can end this national nightmare business.
All right. Leader Jeffries, to be continued on the shutdown and on the midterms. We appreciate you spending some time with us.
And all right. Shout out to that guy, Jeffries. All right, let's get over to the right side of media with Fox News. Because again, like I said, Fetterman seems to be the only Dem that has, well, no TD. Well, not the only Dem, but one of the few Dems that have no TDS.
Democrats will keep pushing the administration and our Republican colleagues to rein in ICE and stop the violence.
Democrats.
Hey guys, you know what's funny? No Republican is in my backyard talk about let's debate, because they can't defend their position. They can make fun of you, they can call you stupid and all that good stuff, but when you make them defend their position, they back down every time.
Are never going to get their full.
Well, unless they're my Dems. Like, I guess Sid will always come up, Parabolic, Chad, depending on how reckless I'm being. So yeah, it's ever those guys. So shout out to you guys.
Wish list. That's not the way this works.
All right, Democrats and Republicans at odds over DHS funding as the government enters another partial shutdown, with essential services such as FEMA and TSA being impacted. For more on what it'll take to reach a compromise, let's bring in Republican Congressman Tim Burchett. Congressman, it is great to see you again. Thanks so much for joining the show.
Thank you for having me, ma'am. It's a pleasure.
Pleasure's all mine. All right, so the hopes of ending this partial government shutdown are looking pretty bleak. You had Senator John Fetterman, the only Democrat who voted to advance the full-year funding bill, saying his Democratic colleagues have boxed themselves in. He says, quote, "What the F is the Democratic off-ramp on this? Once you set this in motion, ICE already has all the BBB money that it needs. Where's our leverage?"
That's what I'm wondering too. It's like, bro, here's the thing. I know their leverage is the American people. That's the leverage, buddy. It's like, I thought you figured that out, Fetterman. I think you just don't want to come to the grips with it that, yo, we have no leverage, no political leverage. Our political leverage is the suffering that we're going to impose upon the people that work under DHS. That's our leverage, the American people, just like they did with the last shutdown. They had no effing leverage, but, oh, you're going to let Americans starve? What the fuck? That means your leverage was starving Americans? Just like now. Where's your leverage? Well, I'll tell you, it's us.
At the same time, you do see House Democrats floating a proposal that would take care of basically every agency under DHS except for ICE. Mm-hmm. Do you think that's evidence that Democrats realize they're on shaky ground justifying all of this?
Well, I guess no pun intended, but they are on thin ice. And I'm complimentary of President Trump, of course, because he put the funding in the big, beautiful bill for Border Patrol and Customs. I think he foresaw it as oftentimes Trump's playing chess and the rest of us are playing checkers. So, yeah, I think the Democrats' objective here is to cause as much pain as they can. And they've clearly shown that in the past. They have no real agenda other than to disrupt President Trump's agenda, and that's America's agenda. Who in the world would want to defund ICE?
Oh, guys, let's make sure to support the stream with any questions, comments, jokes, or disagreements. Appreciate the support, by the way, by those who are just watching. So make sure to double tap that screen, like the video. But let's make sure to get that support up to keep the stream going longer.
Defund FEMA, defund the TSA. Why would you do that? All you want to do is cause pain in this country. And that's clearly what the Democrats are going to
defund FEMA, defund the TSA. I mean, like I said, they're going to cause those air travel troubles again. I mean, I don't think everybody's still going through that crazy snowstorm still, because most of the snow is melted in my area. So I'm not, but let's be real. If anything happens and you guys defunded FEMA, that's on y'all, Dems. But what would they say? Oh, it's the Republicans the reason why FEMA can't go out there. It's the Republicans the reason why your flight's delayed, even though they're the ones shutting it down.
try to do. They did this the last time and their numbers went down. I mean, I know they're all good little soldiers, but that guy, when Senator Fetterman's the only one out there making any sense, I think you need to readjust your polling data.
Yeah, I mean, his point is that both ICE and CBP already have funding because of the Big Beautiful Bill. They're not impacted by this shutdown at all, but you do have, you know, FEMA, the Coast Guard, Secret Service, and TSA all, you know, without any funding. TSA's acting administrator this week raised some national security concerns about that. Listen to this.
The FIFA World Cup is only 121 days away, kicking off on June 11th. When America will welcome millions of visitors from the world over to our country. TSA will be front and center, welcoming travelers and fans safely and securely through our airports as they travel to see the games. We need to ensure we are adequately prepared, both from a staffing and technology perspective, and we do not have the luxury of time.
So why do you think Democrats are trying to make sure this goes through the State of the Union? Is that, do you think, preconceived to try to score political points?
Sure, they're all about symbols, ma'am. They disrupt the president. You have one member shaking his cane. They dress up different. They walk out. They walk out during his, to create all this fake outrage. I find it very ironic. I'm surprised nobody's pointed it out that the Coast Guard's budget's around $14.5 billion, and that's about the amount of money they stole out of Minnesota through their fraudulent activity. And that the Democrats are protesting.
And like I said, bro, they haven't gotten anything that they ever wanted out of a shutdown. And like Fetterman said, where's the off ramp? Where's your leverage? And the leverage is us. And like I said, even with the ACA subsidies, I mean, what was it? It was Hakeem Jeffries who lied to the American people, talk about, oh, well, we got the ACA subsidies passed through the House, not to the Senate. And I'll read it off right here for you. Boom. As of early 2026, the U.S. House of Representatives passed a 3-year extension of the Enhanced Affordability Care Act subsidies, but it has not yet passed the Senate. Therefore, it ain't here yet. They never got it extended and is being held up by the Senate. And who has majority rule in the Senate? Republicans. So if you want to blame Republicans for it not passing the Senate, I'll give you that. But it hasn't passed. Therefore, what did y'all do this for? Y'all still ain't got the subsidies. Still. But, I mean, you let Schumer lie to you. You'll let Hakeem lie to you and tell you that they've been passed like they've made any real progress.
Allow them to continue doing this. I think their objectives and their direction is clearly wrong with what's happening in America today. The far left, the Marxist element has really taken over. I mean, they're not even denying it anymore. They have taken over the Democrat Party, and it's not your granddad's. Heck, it's not even Bill Clinton's Democrat Party anymore. They have clearly gone so far to the left. I don't think there's any coming back. But the problem we have on our side is our messaging. And President Trump, once again, is correct about that. We are terrible at messaging. President Trump has teed up a lot of great issues, and we continue to fumble it. So I'd hope some of my fellow members would start messaging what's going on in this country and what needs to happen.
All right. I want to turn to the economy. There was a lot of positive economic data this week. You had a good jobs report, better than expected CPI report, also some blockbuster highs for the stock market. But prices are still high. And the Washington Post editorial.
Like, sis, you can't be this delusional, though. Like, sis, She hit me with he didn't lie, it passed the House. No, he said the ASA subsidies went through, they passed. That means they were signed into law when they weren't, because it got to get past the Senate. So no, he did lie. They didn't get the ASA subsidies for the American people. They didn't.
The board writes this: what do bad breath, wilted flowers, and protectionism have in common? They might spoil Valentine's Day. Boxes of chocolates from outside the U.S. cost an extra 8% thanks to 2025 tariff increases, according to the Cato Institute's Scott Linicombe. Imported Valentine's Day classics are up across the board. Flowers cost 9% more. Jewelry is up 23%. Lingerie costs an extra 25%. So my question to you is, did it cost you a lot more to say I love you this year to Mrs. Burchett?
Well, it did. I save up every year. Took our good friends Troy and Jackie Whiteside. We all went out to eat, and I noticed it was a little bit higher than it was the year before. But and I haven't bought myself any lingerie in a long time, so I can't make any comparisons there. But the reality is, inflation is real. I mean, look at the Biden administration. 4 years of unchecked spending, just billions, and throwing money overseas to, drag shows and all that nonsense they sponsored all over the world. And they drove us into oblivion, and we're just trying to maintain right now.
I mean, that is a good point, though. All that USA that they were sending for these trans shows and, I don't know, child programs around the world, while letting our childs go stupid, by the way, that's what the Dems are doing. But they want to complain about education, affordability. When they sat there for 4 years, they ignored all that. That's the problem when it comes to the Dems. Y'all want to talk about affordability, but under Biden, things became the most unaffordable. So, I mean, where were y'all then about affordability?
And that's what you see. You can't have that kind of spending over 4 years unchecked and you not have to pay the price. And that's exactly what inflation's about. It's like you have a glass of sweet tea and you just keep pouring clear water into it. Eventually it's going to weaken out. And that's what they do. They just print more money and hopefully they can get through the next election. And that's their goal. It's the goal of power. It's the goal of control.
And here's the thing, look, Biden's bills, look, guys, I'm not going to sit here and say that Biden's bills did nothing good whatsoever, but it did cause inflation. There are some good things that the bill did, but on the backs of the American people, because we have to print more money and the inflation transferred over to the American people. That's the problem. We can sit here and name all the good that Biden's bills have done, and then there was some bullshit as well, but it still doesn't take away from the fact that we have to print money for it and it caused inflation. It is what it is.
Okay, it is day 3 of the partial.
Honestly, if he didn't do all that spending and he just left Trump spending whatever inflation that would have happened, he could have blamed on Trump. But due to the fact that he was spending willy-nilly, well, you can't really put it off on Trump.
Government shutdown and talks to fund the Department of Homeland Security. Well, they're not going anywhere because no one is in town. Democrats are also dug in over their demands for immigration and customs enforcement. White House border czar Tom Homan says federal agents, they're still out there and they're still doing their jobs.
ICE has continued to enforce law across the country. They're already funded. Now, the ICE officers won't be getting paid, but they're getting used to that, it seems like. So, no, the immigration mission, the reason why President Trump was elected to be president, continues. As far as the mask, look, I don't like the masks either, but because threats against ICE officers, are up over 1,500%. Actual assaults and threats are up over 8,000%.
Yeah, I mean, these people are, when they find out who these ICE officers are, they threaten them. They send personal messages to them saying how they're going to take their life and their family members' lives. And you Dems don't even address that. That's the problem. You guys got to address the fact that there are people on y'all side that are going out there and are razzing these ICE officers and their family members. You got to address the fact that one of the reasons why there's mass is because Don Lemon found out the identity of one of these, well, not Don Lemon, but the group that he was working with found out the identity of one of these ICE officers and went to their church and disrupted their church. That's not okay. And that kind of proves why the masks are needed, because we can't trust y'all to look at their face and not do something crazy.
We have to protect them.
And y'all should be ashamed of yourselves about that, or at least condemn the base for that.
So
a ban on masks is just one of those 10 Democratic demands. Others include
hilarious. Hold on. Targeting enforcement and judicial warrants before entry. Well, they got the administrative warrants attached to a final order of removal. Like I said, we can have that debate if you want to, but That might just be left up to the Supreme Court. No masks, no face coverings. Hell no.
Masks is just one of those.
Require visible ID. I mean, what do you mean? Like their badge or the fact that they got ICE right in front of their chest? I mean, already done. C, protect sensitive locations like schools and hospitals. First off, if an illegal immigrant get hurt, they're going to go to the hospital, so we can come fit them there. And I mean, illegal children go to school and college. We can get them there as well. So I know that sounds pretty cut, but I mean, it is what it is. Got to catch them all.
10 Democratic demands. Others include
stop racial profiling. The Supreme Court said that they can racial profile. So you might want to take that up with them, not us. Take it up with the Supreme Court. Uphold use of force standard, which is, well, I'm gonna be real with you. That could use some work. The fact that one of those ICE officers was hitting bro with a can, that is outrageous. That's unacceptable.
Requiring visible IDs, like
ensure state and local court. I mean, you know what? If y'all was to do this in the first goddamn place, here's the thing: they're saying ICE to do that, but no, the state, they gotta make the state and local officials coordinate with ICE. Local, state, and law enforcement coordinate with ICE. It got to be on them because ICE is asking for the help and they're not getting it. If 7 was already being done, which is ensuring state and local coordination, we wouldn't even be here.
ICE officers having to show
build safeguards into detention systems. I mean, I don't really know what they mean by that, but I'd have to look into that a little bit more. Body cams and for accountability, not tracking. Okay, I'm down with that.
Improve who they are. No enforcement.
No paramilitary police. I mean, it's not like they're doing that anyway, but okay.
At hospitals or schools and requiring body cameras. Republicans say this is all just performative.
Let me just say this to every single Democrat standing in the way of funding DHS. Shame on you. You're making our homeland, the United States of America, less secure because you're trying to make a political point.
They have no real agenda other than to disrupt President Trump's agenda.
This isn't about actually opening DHS back. This is about waiting until the president is done giving the State of the Union, which is a week from Tuesday, which is why I said this is nothing but political theater.
And here's top House Democrat Hakeem Jeffries, not offering much when asked about the State of the Union.
If DHS is shut down on February 24th, do you think that Trump should postpone his State of the Union?
That's an open question. We'll have more to say about that next week.
We don't know what that means. Ari Fleischer, White House press secretary under George W. Bush, also a Fox News contributor, joining me now. You know, Ari, the Republicans are saying Democrats are going to keep this shut down at least through the State of the Union because the base wants them to fight. This is their chance to take on President Trump. You know politics. Is that what's going on here?
That's exactly what's going on here. This is the phoniest of phony shutdowns there's ever been.
Man,
ICE is already funded. More than 90% of those who work for the Department of Homeland Security are essential. It is the most essential department when it comes to a shutdown.
So yeah, you're pretty much shutting down the essential systems, the essential departments in our government because of ICE. And you have no off-ramp. You have no leverage but the American people, which is wild, by the way. To use the American people as leverage is wild. And all the suffering the American people that you guys are going to impose by shutting down the DHS, you're just going to blame on the Dems. And sadly, most people in y'all base is dumb enough to believe it. That's just a sad reality.
Actually, everybody's going to have to continue what they're doing. The only difference is they won't pay them. So they're going to take out their anger on President Trump against all the families of people who work for the Department of Homeland Security, be it the Coast Guard, be it FEMA, be it TSA. Next time you go through our airport, just say thank you to those people who are now working without a salary so the Democrats can engage in a phony shutdown targeted at ICE, but ICE's mission will go on. It's a phony shutdown.
Here's the thing. I mean, bro, the fact that they're doing this to these people again, these motherfuckers might not even show up. It's like, who want to go through this again? Like, y'all just was taking away their paychecks in November. Now they got to go through it again. At a certain point, these people are just going to be like, bro, I'm not working for free again. Like, y'all can't keep doing this.
Shut down.
Well, you're right. ICE's mission will go on because they are still funded through the big, beautiful bill, which is something that Democrats don't want to talk about.
Yep. The Democrats don't want to talk about ICE, how ICE is still being funded Then FEMA not going to be funded. Wait, hold on. Cybersecurity and infrastructure. Nope, that's not going to be funded. Transportation, yep. TSA not going to be funded. I mean, shoot, I guess y'all Dems don't care about any of this stuff. I mean, the one thing you guys want to be defunded is actually going to keep going.
Out in this fight as they hold hostage FEMA and some other really important programs. You know, some of the demands we went over just now, including judicial warrants to be able to target a home, go inside of a home, unmasking ICE agents. These are things that Republicans are not willing to negotiate on. That's the stuff that we're seeing on paper. But there is still a whole flank of the Democratic Party that is calling to defund ICE. They want ICE gone altogether. They don't want reforms. They just want the agency completely disbanded. It's hard to tell what this party, how it feels about immigration enforcement anymore. We don't know where they're at.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's easy.
I mean, shoot, they wasn't doing it themselves. Actually, they was letting more. I'm be real with you. They was letting more people in than ever. So it is kind of funny how they'll sit there in front of our face and then be like, "Oh, you can't do no ICE enforcement, immigration enforcement." I mean, we got to, because y'all wasn't. Actually, if anything, you were letting people in. More people. You let more people in than y'all kicked out. And y'all kicked a lot of people out because of how many y'all let in. So I'm sorry, but y'all can't complain about a mess that you guys caused. You can't complain about the cleanup.
Easy to know where they are. They're against immigration enforcement. That's exactly why in the Biden years they looked the other way as millions of people entered America illegally, and they were content with it. They called them all asylum seekers and said they should be in America. Look, if
yeah, I mean, even the ones that crossed the border illegally, they were trying to call asylum seekers.
ICE were run by bunnies and Bambi, the Democrats would still say ICE is cruel. Because they don't oppose the people who run ICE per se, they oppose ICE's mission. They oppose those who would enforce America's laws and make sure that if you come to America, you have to come here legally. You have to come here with a sponsor. You have to have the financial means to support yourself. You can't go on welfare. That's what everybody who waits online to come to America. But then there's this whole other cadre of millions of people that the Democrats want to come in illegally because it bumps up their numbers in the census, it bumps up the number of dollars that the federal government spends largely in urban districts, and it bumps up the number of representatives they have in Congress because the census counts those who are here illegally. That is the end game for the politicians in Washington who are Democrats. So it has nothing to do with ICE being cruel or any of that. They oppose ICE's mission.
Yeah.
No, guys, let's make sure we double tap that screen like the video, guys. Let's get more people in on the conversation by double tapping that screen.
It's what I'm saying is it's just hard to tell what the Democratic Party is today, because this is the same party. Not too long ago, Barack Obama was also deporting illegal immigrants, but now that's
yeah, I know. And people also mistakenly got detained under Obama. People got mistakenly deported under Obama, but nothing was said. Why? Because it was Obama. And now for some reason Trump is doing it and you guys are losing your minds. I mean, it honestly does not make sense. This is why you guys are a bunch of hypocrites, or you just don't know the history of your party.
It's not okay. We've been hearing it from Democrats for months now, Ari. Yesterday, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer with more heated rhetoric for those federal agents. Listen to this.
This is a rogue force. They're almost trained.
You know what? This probably best describes the Democrats of today.
Abolish slavery? Well, then who's going to pick our crops? Deport the illegals? Then who's gonna pick our crops? This Lincoln guy is destroying our country. Ending slavery? I think he needs to go. This Donald Trump guy is destroying our country. Sending all our voters back to Mexico? I think he needs to go. Civil rights? Why, I couldn't agree more. Germans should be able to own slaves as well. If you're an Afro-Asian goldfish with bipolar depression, you should be able to vote. For us, a public education system? Why, that's a terrible idea. What a stupid waste of money that would be. We need to be create a tsunami of funding for our public education system. It's one of our best ways to the minds of children. These American Indians were here first. Big whoop, they're taking up too much land. We need more room for white settlement. Get them out of here! We stole your land, dear natives. Forgive us, for we know not what we've done. Oh, here, you can have casinos. You're not buying this, are you? Damn it. You know, I'm Native American. Don't call me Pocahontas, that's offensive.
Man, that's quite the history I got there.
it looks like, to be nasty and mean and cruel and go way beyond what ordinary police departments do. So they need to be reined in. The question that Americans are asking is, why aren't Republicans going along with these common sense proposals?
Critics are now calling out Minnesota Governor Tim Walz for the demand that he's making as the federal drawdown in Minneapolis continues. Listen to this.
The federal government needs to pay for what they broke here.
Bro, what? And that's what made it so funny when they said that. I was just like, bro, protesters are the ones setting cars on fire, bro. They're the ones flipping cars. They're the ones vandalizing businesses. They're the ones that were throwing rocks through that hotel building. Not ICE. ICE ain't doing nothing. Okay, maybe they might kick in some doors, but you guys are the ones causing damage to public property, the protesters. So, yeah, no, you pay for it.
There are going to be accountability on the things that happen. The federal government needs to be responsible. You don't get to break things and then just leave without doing something about it.
I mean, look, bro, yeah, it's y'all protesters that are the one breaking stuff. So I mean, look, I guess if you live there, you can break it, but why they gotta pay for it? Y'all are the ones breaking shit.
Border Czar Tom Homan, on the other hand, offered some praise for Minnesota leaders who are working with him now, including the governor and the mayor. Homan says the state is actually safer because they're all working together.